Can speak now to Charles Lawley, who's with HumanAppeal. That's a UK-based development and relief charity. He's joining us now from Manchester in the north of England. The report by Save the Children talks of there being an increase in the amount of incidents in which food is used as a weapon of war. First of all, I wondered if you agreed with that, given that it has always been part of war, hasn't it, and of conflict, using all resources to lay siege to the enemy. And secondly, how you think, if indeed that's the case, how you think it's changed the way this is carried out.
Hi, thank you for having me on. Well, yes, it has indeed increased. The way wars are conducted have changed. It's not like it used to be during the Victorian times where it was all about you'd want to take a hill. Now we're seeing more devastation, more scorched earth, and just destruction being left in the wake of conflict. So it absolutely is. Although, as you say, that throughout history, sieges have always been used, whether it's Stalingrad, or it's all the way back to the siege of Troy. And it is deliberately starving a population. In terms of what can be done to change it, I mean, despite this having been going on for a long, long time, there's never been one referral to the International Criminal Court with regard to people using starvation as a weapon.
Let me jump in and just ask you then, how specifically is it outlawed? I mean, is it covered by the Geneva Conventions, international humanitarian law, for instance?
Yes, no, it is an international crime, but it's just, no, there's never been one even referral, let alone a conviction. So as we are seeing, the report we did a few years ago concentrates on how it's been used in Yemen and Syria. And people, non-military actors or official armed groups can starve a population with very little repercussions. There's nothing stopping them.
And what can change that then? I mean, if you say that it's outlawed by existing international legislation, what will it take in order for those who are currently conducting this kind of scorched earth policy, including using food as a weapon of war, what will it take to get them before an international court?
Well, it will take members of the UN Security Council to not veto referrals to the International Criminal Court. With the case in Syria, we're probably never going to see a prosecution in that respect because Russia will always veto it.
And but there are so many other aspects to this brutal war, this 7-year war in Syria, I'm thinking of in particular, that perhaps the issue of food and starvation almost gets overlooked because there is so much. There's the use of chemical weapons, there's the use of barrel bombs, indiscriminate bombing of civilians, and so perhaps the fundamental issue of food does get somehow lost in all of that.
It's a fair point. I mean, as we've seen in Syria, as we've seen in Yemen, as we've seen, it's military actors try and wear down a population. They will surround it with a virtual, well, a metaphorical wall of armed personnel. They'll stop food getting in. They'll stop NGOs like ourselves who operate in conflict zones like this, like Syria, like Yemen. They'll stop us being able to access the people and give them food, which is what we're on the ground to do. We're completely neutral. We just want to give food to those most in need. It will stop us, and it is all part of the process of wearing down a population by starving the people through targeting civilian buildings and stopping NGOs like ourselves delivering aid to those most in need. And that way, they will crush morale, crush the people. They'll use chemical weapons, they'll use airstrikes, and by the time the people are completely crushed, they'll send in the troops, and with less casualties for their armed forces at the expense of the civilian population.
Absolutely, and it goes without saying, doesn't it, that it's going to be children, it's going to be the elderly, it's going to be the vulnerable who are most quickly affected by this tactic.
I mean, it's the most depressing thing is we look on the eve of, we've seen it in Aleppo, we've seen it in Homs, we've seen it in Eastern Ghouta, and we are on the eve of seeing it again in Idlib. 3 million people are in Idlib now, and they are probably going to be exposed to what those other people were. They will be starved, they will be bombed, and we, HumanAppeal, have been saying this is going to be happening for over 6 months now. Everyone has been saying this. and nothing's been done to stop it. We knew it was happening; it was inevitable, and now it's going to happen. It's impending. And what's been done to stop this human catastrophe that is impending?
Charles Lawley, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. Charles is with HumanAppeal, a development and relief charity based in the north of England.